Joe Megler is a 22-year-old from Germany. As he was shaving one day, he accidentally nicked his cheek. A trail of blood started rolling down, but instead of getting scared, he was inspired. You see, Joe was a huge fan of Batman and absolutely loved the Joker. So instead of putting a band-aid on the cut, he made it bigger. Little by little, he stretched it even bigger until eventually there was a hole in his cheek. Today, Joe does everyday things like brushing his teeth through the hole.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, man, you guys don't know what we do. We're the Seekers. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man, commenting down below, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button, man. You guys are helping us find other Seekers, so I really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, Seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Y'all know what we do. Let's seek the truth.
Plastic surgery gone way too far. Joe Megler is a 22-year-old from Germany. As he was shaving one day, he accidentally nicked his cheek. A trail of blood started rolling down, but instead of getting scared, he was inspired. You see, Joe was a huge fan of Batman and absolutely loved the Joker. So instead of putting a band-aid on the cut, he made it bigger. Little by little, he stretched it even bigger until eventually there was a hole in his cheek. Today, Joe does everyday things like brushing his teeth through the hole and even eats food through it. Subscribe if you think this is gross.
That's crazy, bro. You got inspired by
Four disturbing
all over
facts
Christmas,
about your body.
man.
If your body's immune system finds out about your eyes, it will blind you. Yes, that is correct. Your eyes and your body have separate immune systems. And if for some reason your body's immune system discovers your eyes, it will attack them, sending you blind. You can get a condition called fatal familial insomnia. This is a condition where you cannot sleep for days and you begin to lose your mind bit by bit until you die. Your body is always fighting cancer. In your lifetime, your immune system destroys anywhere from 5 to 8 cancerous cells that do not self-destruct. Some cancers fool your immune system so they can grow and spread. If you have even a small brain trauma, your brain can reset, changing your likes, dislikes, and other aspects of your personality.
Whoa, I never knew that. Everything you like and dislike can just get changed like that in the flip of a dime. It's like you become a completely different person. The more you know, man, we learning today. That's what we like to do.
Scariest videos on the internet, part 4. This is a famous statue that is said to be haunted. And someone cut its eyes moving on camera.
Let's see. Oh, I definitely, y'all saw that? There was movement.
What in the night of the museum is this?
Or was that an edit? Or just a high class edit, bro?
Scary fact you wish you never knew.
There is a shack called the Devil's Toy Box in Louisiana, and for some reason people who go in lose their mind. Do you know the tingly feeling you get when you eat a pineapple?
Yeah.
Well, that's because the pineapple is eating you. It has an enzyme called bromelain, and that enzyme eats meat, which you're made of. Now you can check if your phone activity is being monitored. Just click on share, slide all the way to the end, click more. And if any apps appear before your contacts, you should delete it immediately. Sharks have been around for 420 million years, meaning they have survived all 4 big mass extinctions, making them older than dinosaurs, Mount Everest, and even some trees on this planet. The person who invented homework came up with the idea as a punishment for students.
You are a slave. Let me explain why. We are being controlled in this world. Everything we do, every move we make is remotely controlled by these people. Every human is born with the pineal gland. The pineal gland is known as the third eye or the sixth sense. It enhances your spiritual senses. It makes you analyze information faster. It makes you take the right decisions. It makes you sleep better, and much more. These people don't want your pineal gland to be activated because you become smarter and stronger. They deactivate your pineal gland using fluoride. They add fluoride in everyday necessities we consume. Drinking water has fluoride, and it's been proven that fluoride is cancerous. What is the first thing you do in the morning? Brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Toothpaste contains fluoride. We are constantly shutting down this gland. Without this gland, we are more prone to weakness, staying up late, depression, and anger. Good news though, fluoride-free products exist.
Seekers, are y'all gonna make that switch? I definitely am, man. Fluoride, but like you said, the first thing you did is brush your teeth. That's the first thing you do in the morning, man. It's in these everyday products. They're trying to take out our sixth sense, our pineal glands. Nah, man, we want ours open, bro. We will be making that switch.
This teacher was caught doing it with an 8th grade student. And apparently it was almost daily. The kid was 13 years old and now she will serve 10 years in prison. This happened in Texas. The teacher behind me, her name is Alexandria Vera. She's 25 years old and this 13-year-old got her pregnant. She stated the relationship happened in the Instagram DMs and his family apparently approved of this relationship. The judge and the school district said that they want their teachers to teach students, not put their hands all over their students. She was originally going to get 30 years in prison, but the judge said, I don't think she's that bad, and gave her 10 years. Apparently this relationship blossomed in 2015 around summertime. The boy kept advancing, she kept denying, but eventually she gave in apparently. Prosecutors said based on evidence, they did it daily for 9 months straight. And apparently during the entire ordeal, to get away with this, she told her neighbors that the boy was her brother. And now it gets even weirder. She even moved his father in with her so she could pretend she was dating the father when in reality she was the kid. This was kind of a mask. She was also paying for the family's groceries and phone bill. This kid literally had a sugar mama. Now Alexandria Vera has a 6-year-old daughter that even called the 13-year-old kid her dad. What an interesting case. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're from Houston, Texas, did you hear about this case around you guys? As always, these videos are for informational purposes only. Once again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I definitely feel like she should have served life for this. She knew exactly what she was doing, but the court system was pretty lenient on her.
Dark things Disney doesn't want you to know? Part 15.
That family's
So in
insane.
part 14 of this series, I talked about the deadly monorail crash that killed a 21-year-old worker at Disney. This isn't the first time that this ride has taken someone's life. The first death occurred in 1966 during the park's annual grad night. Pictured here is 19-year-old Thomas Guy Cleveland. He attempted to sneak into the park on that night. He successfully managed to climb over the park's 16-foot high fence, and then he got onto the monorail tracks. But while on the track, the monorail train struck and killed him. It dragged his body 30 to 40 feet before stopping. More on this case in my next YouTube video. Subscribe so you don't miss out. Link in bio.
They still kept it up?
You have to come up with $9 billion or face execution. Well, that is exactly what this woman is being told by a Vietnamese court right now. You see, earlier this year, Trong My Lan, who is a real estate tycoon and businesswoman, made global headlines after she was sentenced to death for committing one of the biggest frauds in global history. $44 billion. That's equivalent to roughly 9% of Vietnam's entire economy this year. Now of the 44 total, she's accused of embezzling $12 billion, and the court ruled this week that if she can pay back 3/4, her death sentence will be reduced to life in prison. So the question now is, can she come up with $9 billion to literally save her life? Verdict of the jury.
$9 billion or that sentence, man. Oh. She better not have spent all that money, bro. I don't know how did she got 44 billion, but if she don't come up with that 9 billion, sounds like she's cooked, bro. How do people be getting away with fraud that massive? We gotta dive deep into that rabbit hole, bro.
Count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant, Carla Madison Gregg, guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. Count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant, Carla Madison Gregg, guilty of attempted murder as charged in the indictment. Count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant, Carla Madison Gregg, guilty of tampering with evidence as charged in the indictment. Please be seated, Mr. Gregg.
All counts. 1, 2, and 3. Boom, boom, boom. It's an edit, man. If you guys see any edit seekers, man, don't be afraid to call them out. Sometimes I might miss them, and y'all can catch on to it.
Would you pay $6 million for a banana? Well, Someone did, and this jaw-dropping sale made people scratch their heads. I think we can all agree that we can call it the golden banana. That's right, a golden banana, because this rare fruit was auctioned off at Sotheby's in New York. But before you start Googling the nearest banana farm, let me clarify. This isn't your average potassium-packed snack. It was a piece of art. And guess what? The buyer was someone with deep pockets and a love for eccentric art. To the point that they don't mind spending this huge amount of money for a literal fruit. So, what do you get after spending this much money? Well, a banana with duct tape. Despite this, the price skyrocketed to a mind-blowing 6.2 million, and people on the internet lost it. And who was the lucky buyer? A savvy Chinese man who wasn't about to let anyone snatch away his golden prize. In the end, some say it's a statement. Others just want to know if the banana comes with a side of luxury dip. Sadly, no one knows.
We need to be artists, bro. Tape a piece of grape.
Let's take a look at the three biggest
that's
differences between Eastern and Western dragons. First up, appearance. The Western dragon has 4 legs, wings, and armor-like scales, whereas the Eastern dragon, while still capable of flight, has no wings and often no limbs at all. They're also much larger, growing up to 100 feet or more. Number 2, abilities. Western dragons can breathe fire, fly, and are more intelligent than any mere mortal. But they're no match for the Eastern dragon, which possesses godlike powers such as the ability to grant wishes and control over the elements. And finally, perception. Western dragons are viewed as wild animals decimating noble knights and kingdoms, whereas Eastern dragons are viewed as deities equally deserving of our respect and fear. If you want to learn more about these creatures and even lead them into the field of battle, you should download Call of Dragons. It's a strategy game filled with cryptids you can capture, and the storyline, much like these dragons, is legendary. Comment which dragon is your favorite and download COD.
Clips you need.
Says it's describing Shenron, bro.
Part 6. Octopus unscrewing the lid of a vase from the inside.
Whoa.
This is how a clam digs into sand.
What?
Vegetables in Alaska can reach gigantic sizes due to the 20 hours of sunlight they receive every day.
That ain't no
This
pumpkin,
is how
man.
much a pumpkin has grown in 2 months.
Terrifier 3 is officially returning back to theaters on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. We're also said to be getting an extended version, but the extended version is not what you think. With director Damien Leone saying a lot of fans want to see uncut versions of things that were quote-unquote missing from the movie. Scenes like Sienna retrieving the sword from the Terrifier. They also want to see Jonathan's unaliving. And more scenes of Art the Clown at the Beta Bash, where he used the chainsaw, you know what I'm talking about, with him flat out saying, we didn't shoot those scenes, and there's nothing that would have been extended about it. And that brings me to believe that we will never see Jonathan's unaliving ever in a Terrifier movie. It wasn't shot, it wasn't something that happened, unless, at the beginning of Terrifier 4, we see what actually happened to Jonathan. But I highly doubt that, because if they didn't shoot it during Terrifier 3, why would they shoot it for Terrifier 4? Also goes on to say that a lot of stuff that was quote-unquote missing were the really nice human moments between Sienna and her family. And a lot of great scenes that have to do with Gabby and Sienna's relationship, and how their bond is so strong. Which kind of makes sense, because we really didn't see much of their relationship on screen. We knew that Gabby loved Sienna. We didn't know the extent of their actual relationship. And for me, honestly, I would love to see those scenes. It would make the ending of the movie feel so much more real. Seeing how Sienna acted with losing absolutely everybody. Especially Gabby, if their relationship is as strong as Damien Leone is saying.
You guys gonna see an extended version of Terrifier 3? I remember when it beat the joke in the box office. That's just wild to think about, man. We see through these edits, bro. Okay. I know I don't do scary movies like that, Seekers, but we had a lot of choices. The Devil's House. There's some brave souls going in there, bro. I ain't going in that house. Not with a name like that. I am good. What did they find in there? Okay. Seems empty so far.
So this cop says that he was actually abducted by aliens. One night in Argentina, a police officer named Sergio Pucheta requested for backup from his base over the radio. According to the other police officers, he sounded terrified, but before the transmission cut out, he managed to say that there was something strange in the area and that he was going to investigate. When the other police officers got there, though, he was nowhere to be found. But the strange thing is that his motorcycle was there on the side of the road, along with his service handgun, his radio, and his cell phone. They looked everywhere for him, and then they ended up finding some footprints. So they followed these footprints into this wooded area, and they noticed that the footprints started to grow farther and farther apart from each other. And then all of a sudden, they disappeared. The police officers were baffled, and a search team was called to look for the missing cop. They ended up finding him the next day, 12 miles away from the area of his initial disappearance. He was found by a local farmer on the side of the road, and he was completely traumatized. He was curled up in the fetal position. They took him to the hospital, and when he eventually calmed down, he told the other officers a terrifying account of what had happened to him. He said that when he got to the area that he went to investigate, he bumped into two strange humanoid beings with glowing red eyes. He said that one of these beings spoke to him telepathically and ordered him to disarm his weapon and disable his radio and cell phone. This is when Pucheta said that he got scared and he decided to make a run for it. He said that he ran as fast as he could, but as he started to run, he started to feel like he was floating. And that's all he remembered before finding himself on the side of the road. Even more terrifying is that after this whole event, Pucheta decided to do hypnotherapy. And after the hypnotherapy, he said that he remembered that he was indeed abducted by these beings. He says that he remembers being beamed up to an alien spaceship and that the walls were luminous and bright. And then he says that he remembers being placed on a table or bed. Unfortunately, for police officer Sergio Pucheta, he was let go after this whole incident.
In their family restaurant. On January 2017, 5-year-old Ashley Zhao was beaten to death by her mother, 30-year-old Ming Ming. Ming Ming then reported Ashley missing and said that she went to take a nap in the family restaurant's back room, and when she came to check up on her that night, she was gone. But after police investigated, they found that no one saw Ashley leave the restaurant. The next day, police found Ashley's body lifeless in the family restaurant's back room. After interviewing Ashley's parents, Ming Ming admitted to hitting her daughter repeatedly in the head, and then she passed away. Apparently, she did this because Ashley was having accidents. After the beating, Ashley's father noticed that she was gasping for air and green fluid was coming out of her mouth, and then she stopped breathing. Ming Ming then ordered her husband to hide their daughter's body in the backroom restaurant. The couple basically carried on with the restaurant's hours of operation while their daughter laid lifeless in the back room. Ashley's father pleaded guilty and received 12 years in prison, and Ming Ming was sentenced to 22 years in prison.
Here's 5 things.
Ming sound like she was possessed by the damn devil. That's something. That's like demonic behavior right there, bro. And y'all just moving on with the rest of your day acting like nothing happened. Just going back to just selling food at y'all restaurant. We gotta keep a close eye out, Seekers, man.
Things our parents lied to us about. Cracking your knuckles will give you arthritis. This isn't true. The noise is caused by negative pressure temporarily pulling nitrogen gas into the joint. If you swallow gum, it will stay in your stomach for 7 years. This is not true. It will be excreted within a few days. Sitting too close to the TV will hurt your eyes. This is actually a very popular misconception. A long-term extensive study has shown that myopia in children has nothing to do with this. If you keep going cross-eyed, you'll get stuck like that forever.
This is simply false. Your hair will grow faster the more often you cut it. This isn't true. There are a number of factors affecting it, such as age, hormones, and even the time of year.
Here are 3 terrifying animals that you're glad are extinct. Number 1, the megalodon shark. This animal grew up to 60 feet long, and one tooth could be the size of a human. Megalodons were meat-eating creatures that could literally kill anything. Number 2, the caprasuchus. This animal is a crocodile T-Rex hybrid. It has long legs and is extremely fast. I can guarantee that you won't be able to outrun this guy. Number 3, the titanoboa. This snake weighed about 2,000 pounds and grew up to 40 feet long. This snake would kill their prey with constriction, which means they would suffocate them to death.
This doesn't look like something out of Anaconda, bro. Like that one Ice Cube fought at the end. Glad those gone, man. I don't do snake seekers. I just can't do that. That's an edit. Spot them out.
Here's what would happen to you if you just stopped eating. In the first 6 hours, everything would be normal as your body breaks down food to provide energy for your brain. But after 6 hours, all that energy is used up. So you begin to starve, entering a state called ketosis, which is when your body uses excess fat to produce energy. After 72 hours, your body will begin breaking down muscle for energy, essentially eating itself. And after 1 to 2 weeks, you're more likely to die from the common cold than starvation.
Morbid Facts, Part 467. In 2013, double amputee and 4-time Paralympic gold medalist Oscar Pistorius shot his girlfriend 3 times through a locked bathroom door, claiming he mistook her for an intruder. During his murder trial, Pistorius removed his prosthetics and hobbled on his stumps, while apparently attempting to garner sympathy and a more lenient sentence. But the judge wasn't buying it and sentenced the athlete to 15 years in prison for murder. This is the skeleton of a female vampire pinned to the ground with a sickle across her throat to prevent her from returning from the dead. It was found during an archaeological dig at a 17th century cemetery in Poland. In the late 1800s, there is an urban legend about a demonic figure roaming around the Arizona deserts that killed multiple people. It turned out to be a feral camel with the decaying corpse of a male soldier strapped to its back. Likely the tragic result of Jefferson Davis's attempt to create a camel division in the U.S. Army.
The camel was eating?
Here's why bees die after stinging you. When a bee stings you, it buries its barbed stinger deep into your skin. Then it releases a dose of venom filled with protein-rich substances that makes the sting painful. The venom also affects your skin cells and can also affect your immune system. But all of this comes at a huge cost to the bee. After inserting their barbed stinger into a person, they are unable to pull it out. The only way they can free themselves from the stinger is to rip their bodies apart, leaving the stinger behind. Unfortunately, the stinger also contains parts of the bee's muscles, nerves, and digestive tract. And without these vital body parts, the bees cannot survive and suffer a gory death.
So when that bee hits you like this, it's it, bro. It got its one good hit in, and then it just like, hey, that's all I got about, bro. Wow. And the more you learn about these animals, these insects, truly changes the way you think, man. If you told me that as a kid, I wouldn't believe it.
This woman was married to a TikTok serial killer for 7 years. But now she's turning back to TikTok for help. You see, this is her ex, Kareem Salim. But before he became known as the New Cairo Butcher, he was a TikToker with over 600,000 followers teaching people American slang. But then, in May this year, he was arrested for the murder of multiple women in Egypt, and a few months later was found guilty and sentenced to death. This case was huge in Arab media due to how shocking the crimes were. Investigators found that he had soundproofed his apartment so that when he tortured his victims, no one would hear them scream. It was so gruesome that when videos which he would record himself were played in court, his entire defense team of 5 lawyers immediately withdrew from the case and apologized to the judge forever representing him. And I'm skimming over this, but it's like Ray William Johnson next video kinda bad. Anyway, his ex-wife, who had a child with Kareem but had been separated for the past 3 years, claimed that she had to go into hiding and flee to the UK because he tried to kill her and her sister multiple times. But then just yesterday in a TikTok, she said that Kareem had taken her son and he's now with Kareem's mother either in Egypt or America. So she's desperately trying to raise awareness so she can find him and be reunited. And if you want more details, I've tagged her profile below.
Man, she was ready to a TikTok. If we can see. Bro, I'm telling you, man, these social medias, bro, personalities, you never know what's behind them. How did he have a following that big and he was getting away with it for that long? Makes you look at the world differently.
Morbid Facts, Part 466. During an SAS training exercise in 1996, 21-year-old Bear Grylls broke his back after falling 16,000 feet when his parachute failed to open. His surgeon wasn't sure if Grylls would ever walk again, but the survival expert climbed Mount Everest just 18 months later, becoming the youngest Brit to ever do it. Here's a photo of 13-year-old Barbara Kent and her fellow campers playing in a New Mexico river, just hours before the first atomic bomb was tested 40 miles away from them. Over the next few days, the area was covered in fallout flakes that the campers thought was snow, only it was hot instead of cold. The US government had selected the site for its supposed isolation, but in reality, thousands of people were within a 40-mile radius and weren't evacuated nor warned before the test. Despite being diagnosed with 4 different types of cancers throughout her life, Barbara was the only girl in the above photo who lived past the age of 30, somehow making it to 83.
I never knew that fact about New Mexico. They didn't even evacuate.
You guys remember when this man attacked the judge after she gave him a sentencing that he wasn't too happy with? So before this happened, he was sentenced to 19 months to 4 years in prison. But after attacking the judge, he was just sentenced to 26 to 65 years in prison. But this video made me feel so uneasy because look at him. He looks like he wants to jump over there and attack the prosecutor. Then he explains himself and says that on that day when he attacked the judge, he just saw red.
Like, this is not fair. All I see was red and all I heard her say, oh, this, like she said, and I finally watched the whole video. I was standing here in the courtroom with all of you guys.
These are the best.
The question to myself, how did he have pops that high that he didn't like leapt that high and even got to the judge? That shouldn't have been possible. But look what happened, man. He said he saw red and then he got 65 to 25 years instead of that like lighter sentence before, man. Gotta think before you act, seekers.
Best elf on the shelf pranks. These elves are ironing out the wrinkles in the chips. This elf is disguising the Brussels sprouts as chocolates. And this elf is doing target practice with a bottle of ketchup. At least his aim is kinda good. And this elf opened up his own car wash. And this elf managed to sneak his way up to the cookie jar. And this elf has a poop museum. But that's exactly what I expected the unicorn poop to look like. Make sure you don't have any of this freshly squeezed juice, because I don't think it's juice. They wrapped up the entire bathroom. How are you supposed to use that? And these elves are fishing in the sink. These elves know how to party. They're bungee jumping. These are the worst Christmas gifts of all time. Up first, we have this savage grandma. She sent her daughter a gift card, but it said, maybe next year you'll make us proud. Ouch. And here's another grandma who put almost no effort into the gift. She sent her granddaughter a used notebook with scribbles inside. Next, this guy asked his dad for a GPS for the new car he bought that year. But instead, his dad gifted him a map. And this girl received a creepy porcelain doll from her grandma. And she's been terrified of it ever since and believes it's haunted. Which I think it is.
Do you guys remember the 2 girls who recorded their murder before their bodies were found near a wooded area?
Trying to identify the suspect in this photo and this voice.
On February 2017, 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German were walking along Delphi Historic Trails, Indiana, when they snapped these photos right before they went missing that evening. Police suspected that the man in this photo was involved in their disappearance and murder, but they didn't know who this man was. The girls' bodies were found the next day very close to where they took those photos. And police received multiple tips that the man in the recording and photo on Liberty's phone was 50-year-old Richard Allen. Richard was arrested and charged, but he pleaded not guilty and kept his innocence. But recently, on April 3rd of this year, Richard called his wife Kathy and confessed to murdering both Abby and Liberty. Investigators believe that Richard forced the girls down a hill and took their life with a .40 caliber.
Let's talk about what happened to Jacob
Finally admitted to
his
it.
killer is still out there. Jacob was born on July 1st, 1986 to his mother Brenda and to his father Gene in Texas. He had an older brother named Eric, and Eric was so excited about having a new baby brother. This is something that he really wanted for a long time, and the day that Jacob was born was just like the best day ever for everyone. Now their father Gene wasn't really in the picture. He was actually having an emotional affair with another woman, and when Brenda found out about that, she decided to leave him. She grabbed the two kids, she packed everything up, and they all moved to Socorro, New Mexico. Now, the reason they moved there is because that's where Brenda's family was, so she figured that they would be able to help watch the children while she went to work and, help provide for the family. Now, during this time, Brenda started to grow closer to an old family friend. Now, Eric asked that we do not use this man's name, so for the sake of the video, I'm just going to refer to him as Nick. Nick and Brenda pretty much grew up together. His sister actually married Brenda's brother, and his aunt was Eric's godmother. So in a way, they all had some type of connection, and when Nick entered their life, Eric was very happy about this. Nick was very kind to him. He would watch movies with Eric, he would take care of baby Jacob, and Eric just felt like this was the father figure that he had been looking for. He was just very charismatic, and in December of 1986, Brenda and Nick decided to move in together with the two children. Unfortunately, soon after Nick entered their lives, baby Jacob started to receive unexplained injuries. The first incident that happened is when Brenda noticed that Jacob had a skinned ear. So she took him to the doctor, and as they were trying to figure out what happened, Nick came over to Brenda and said that Eric was responsible for this injury. He said that Eric had picked up Jacob from his crib and then dropped him to the floor. That the reason he had done this is because Eric was jealous of his new baby brother. So Brenda goes over to Eric, she asked him about this, and she was able to get Eric to admit that yes, he did this. Now keep in mind that at this time, Jacob is only 6 to 7 months old, and Eric is 6 years old. So for a 6-year-old to reach over to a crib, pick up a baby, and then drop him to the ground, it just kind of seemed odd. But this is what Nick was telling Brenda. He was telling her that he had seen Eric be jealous before, and that this wasn't the first time that Eric had injured baby Jacob. The second injury occurred 2 to 3 weeks later. This is when the kid's grandmother, Merlinda, was taking care of baby Jacob and noticed a lump on his head. Took him to the doctor, and they told her that this injury came from a blow to the head and that Jacob had a hematoma, and that his injury needed to be drained and lanced immediately. This is a huge injury. This isn't something that's caused by just like playing around or getting a thump on the head. Once again, Nick blamed Eric for this injury, and he told Brenda that he saw Eric kick baby Jacob in the head. Eric says that he has no memory of actually kicking baby Jacob, but he just feels like that would not be possible. He was only 6 years old, so how could a kick from a 6-year-old cause such a big injury? Again, no one saw Eric kick baby Jacob. The only person that saw this was Nick. And at this point, he had been blaming Eric for all of these unexplained injuries that baby Jacob had. So after all of this happened, Brenda decided to send Eric to go live in California with his father. However, even with Eric out of the picture, the injuries to baby Jacob did not stop. Okay, more in part 2.
So he was capping. It was him the whole time, blaming it on that freaking 6-year-old. And the mom believed. Well, we all know we gotta find a part 2, but it has to be justice, man. How your old family friend doing that too? Can't trust nobody.
Things you've never seen before. NASCAR cars can actually go this fast. Here's a video x-ray of a dog devouring its food. And this is what the inside of a violin looks like. It looks like a 1-bedroom apartment in New York. Believe it or not, but right now you're looking at 1 million colors. In this picture, the color of each pixel is slightly different. This picture hasn't been photoshopped in any way. It's actually just the darkest material in the world. Before I tell you what it's called, I just found a way to make a bunch of new friends by live streaming with 0 requirements. So if you want to try live streaming, just press right here. Known as Vanna Black, this substance absorbs nearly all the light that strikes it. And when it's painted on a 3D object, it makes it look completely fake because of how dark it is.
Let's talk about the disappearance of 6-year-old Katie Jacobs and how this doll and a necklace helped solve her case. Katie had gone to the Potomac Mills Mall in Virginia with her family. At one point, she had gone off with her Aunt Susan and her cousin Jeremy to go play in the arcade. However, her Aunt Susan said that she needed to go engrave a lighter for her husband because his birthday was just around the corner, so she left Katie and Jeremy alone. Jeremy says that he was playing a video game while Katie was standing next to him and that she actually wanted to leave to go get some ice cream. So he finished up his game, and when he looked back to where Katie was standing, she was gone. He went to go tell his parents, and his mom called the police and reported her niece as missing. The police and the FBI arrived at the scene and immediately put the mall on lockdown. They began handing out flyers with Katie's face on them and were asking the crowd if anyone had seen her. However, no one in the mall had seen Katie. Now, a week earlier, a young girl named Jessica Davis had been abducted from a mall and found dead 3 days later. The FBI was worried that this might be the same offender, so they began to look through the surveillance footage at the mall to see if they could retrace Katie's last steps. And they spot her leaving the arcade, and you can see her looking over at someone that's standing next to her, possibly walking alongside her, but they can't make out who this person is. And 7 seconds later, Katie disappears. There's no other footage of Katie leaving the mall, so they believe that she and her abductor are still inside. A canine dog tracks Katie's scent and leads police to a trash can. Inside the trash can, they found Katie's necklace. The clasp was broken, and it appeared as if someone had ripped this necklace from Katie's neck. With this information, the FBI no longer believes that Katie's abduction is related to Jessica Davis. This seems personal, and whoever ripped the necklace from Katie's neck did it with rage. Since they now believe that this is a family abduction, FBI agent Reed and Morgan head over to Katie's house to see if they can find any clues. There, they find this doll in Katie's room. They believe that this doll represents how Katie feels. She feels dirty and ugly. And Agent Reed and Morgan believe they know why. So back at the mall, FBI agents ask Katie's mom how she got this necklace. And she says that Katie just found it at school one day. Now, this necklace was very expensive, so there's no way that Katie just randomly found this at school. So why did she lie to her mom about it? This is when the FBI begins to get suspicious of Katie's family, so they interrogate Katie's Aunt Susan and her Uncle Richard separately. During his interrogation, Uncle Richard actually reveals that he hasn't smoked in over a month. Why did his wife Susan say that she left Katie and Jeremy alone to go and grave a lighter for him, if he hadn't even smoked in over a month? When the FBI confronts Susan with this, she breaks down. She reveals that her husband Richard has been abusing Katie and that he was the one that gave her the necklace to keep quiet. Susan knew about the abuse, and instead of helping her niece, she decided to abduct Katie and get rid of her. She figured that if Katie was gone, then her husband would go back to loving her. Ends up telling the police where she hid Katie, and thankfully she was found alive and reunited with her family. Both Richard and Susan were arrested. Thankfully, this is a fictional story from the show Criminal Minds. If you want to watch the FBI's Behavior Analysis Unit catch more bad guys and solve more cases, you can watch Criminal Minds on Hulu.
Blow Your Mind, Part 17. New York was once called New Amsterdam. The word goodbye came from God be with you. Mexico has the most external debt worldwide. Recycling a 3-foot stack of newspaper can save 1 tree.
Whoa.
Here's some random facts that will mess with the way you see the world. Astronaut means star sailor. Astro meaning star and not meaning sailor. That is such a cool name. High heels were originally made for butchers so they wouldn't get blood on the bottom of their shoes. The first ever webcam was created to check on a coffee pot just to make sure it didn't catch on fire. In Switzerland, it's illegal to own just 1 guinea pig. You need at least 2 or more. I think it's because they get depressed if they're alone. I'm not even joking. Australia is wider than the moon. How does that work? The Eiffel Tower is taller in the summer. This is because metal expands when it gets hot, right? A jiffy is an actual unit of time. It's 1/1000th of a second. In Japan, there's over 200 flavors of Kit Kats. I didn't know that there were 200 flavors, period. Queen Elizabeth was a trained mechanic in the military. That's a baller move, though. Become a mechanic and then a queen. Do you know the only letter that doesn't appear in a U.S. state name? I'll give you 3 seconds. Ready? 3, 2, 1. The letter Q.
Can you actually believe this video was taken 66 years ago?
You're aware that a Negro family has moved into Levittown?
Yes, I heard that.
What was your reaction?
Dynamite. Dynamite.
What have you done about it?
Well, I guess we just discussed it.
How do you feel about the Myers moving in?
Well, I'm very definitely against it.
Before coming to Levittown, did you have any contact with Negroes?
Well, I came from a small town where we didn't have any colored people. And at that time I had no feelings either way. While we were waiting for our house to be built, we lived in Trenton for 9 months. And, that was my first contact with them, both in work and going through colored sections to work. And I was very happy I was moving into an all-white community.
Have you ever discussed the Myers at home with your children?
Never before in our house was anything mentioned, pro or con, about colored people, because I feel that they have to be in contact with them to a certain extent, and why should their minds be prejudiced? But since they have moved here, they
was forced to participate
That
in a
was
government
insane.
experiment by her own father, and it turned her into a monster. It was called the Abigail Project. It was the 1960s, right after World War II. The government had hired a guy named Albert Wester to work on these experiments in Area 51 to create a freaking super soldier. Because of how secret and dangerous this experiment was, nobody would volunteer. Like, they couldn't find anyone. What does Albert do? He forces his own daughter to be the test subject. But before I tell you the rest of the story, supposedly you can see if your phone is being spied on. All you gotta do is click share, click more, and if you see this, delete it immediately. Now look, Abigail was placed in a closed room all alone. They gave her growth hormones, injected classified substances in her DNA, and even surgically modified her own body when they weren't getting the results they wanted. She started to turn into something that wasn't even human and had primal instincts. Her father, who was ashamed and devastated of guards that were supposed to be feeding her, and yet she escaped.
You believe any story? Is that story true, Seekers, man? You know, those Area 51 stories, they can get iffy. We had to do some more research on that one.
Scariest conspiracy theories in the world that will seriously change your life. Part 50. I'm sure by now you are aware that this right here represents all the scariest conspiracy theories in the world. The least scary to the scariest of the scary. This today is crazy, like crazy. So, let's go. There's also new evidence for this, so if you think you've seen something similar, you haven't because there's new stuff. So, let's do it. So, of course, we all know Michael Jackson, of course, he tragically died. Or did he? Now, to start off with, why do people believe that he is still alive? Well, this is why. To start with, when Michael died, no one was there to actually physically prove it. No one actually saw it. Furthermore, no one actually saw his body as he had a closed funeral. And most people of this nature would normally have an open casket, but he did. Next up, someone in the crowd at the funeral looked exactly like Michael, just like he'd slightly changed his face and had some makeup and stuff. And he was actually known for doing this before to change his appearance if he wanted to sneak into places. Crazy. Then a while later, his daughter posted this photo where someone in the background looks like Michael. Like, what the hell? Now this right here is the big bit, and this is mental. So this is the ambulance that took Michael, and this video was taken after he died. Take a look. There appears to be someone who looks like Michael getting out the back. Absolutely. Now we know that is the ambulance that he was in prior to this because it has exactly the same number plate. So who the hell was that being secretly escorted out of the back after he died? Now this is ridiculous, I don't know what I think of this. So this guy right here is Dave, supposedly one of Michael's best friends, who he never ever spoke about when he was alive. Now many people actually believe that Dave is actually Michael. He's just undergone a lot of surgery again and completely changed his appearance so he's completely unrecognisable. So make sure you hit that follow button because the series only gets crazy.
That's a mind turn to Seekers. You guys believe that one? Michael Jackson, man, could be alive. That's kind of the same theory they have with Tupac, right? I don't know.
The most brutal prisons on Earth, Part 2. Located on Patek Island in Russia, the Patek Island prison is a maximum security prison and is home to the country's worst criminals. The prison has only about 170 men, but each prisoner is kept in a small two-man cell for 22.5 hours a day, every day, only getting to stand for about an hour and a half. Because of the near pure isolation, lack of basic facilities, most residents go insane well before their sentence is complete. Situated near Bangkok in Thailand, the Bang Kwang Maximum Security Prison is the most violent prison in the country, housing 43 prisoners and death row inmates. Physical abuse is the norm here, and inmates are forced to wear shackles, prisoners suffer from malnutrition, and disease is a big problem as the facility has no running water, a barely functioning sewer system, and is severely overcrowded and understaffed.
Here's some of the weirdest ways that people have died in human history. A 26-year-old had been to hospital trying to figure out how to stop himself from snoring so dang much. He eventually came across a man named Mark Gleason who had prescribed to him a little remedy, which was to stick 2 tampons up his nose. He suffocated. 32-year-old Edward Archibald had actually died in an insect eating contest because he had too many cockroaches and they were still alive and they were clogging up his throat and it clogged his windpipe and he died. All around the world, there are some crazy competitions, including seeing who could sit in a hotter temperature for a longer amount of time, and they did so by sitting in a sauna. And a man was in this competition, and his body overheated and got cooked from the inside out due to the harsh temperatures. There was another guy in the competition too, but he won. He's still alive. Make sure to like and follow for more. Love you guys.
Those
Top 5
competitions
urban
were
legends that turned
insane.
out to be real. Chuck E. Cheese animatronics move on their own. Chuck E. Cheese has been long rumored to be haunted by animatronic figures that move on their own, even when the power is off. These tales were often dismissed as mere urban legends meant to spook children. However, in 2019, a former employee's testimony brought an eerie truth to light. The employee recounted how during after-hour maintenance, the animatronics would occasionally shift positions or emit sounds despite being turned down. This phenomenon was actually captured on video showing an animatronic character moving its eyes and mouth when the restaurant was closed. The unsettling footage showed the animatronic's eyes flickering to life and their mouths moving silently. One night, the employee was cleaning when they noticed an animatronic had shifted slightly from its usual position. At first, they thought it was just a trick of the light or a mistake, but then the animatronic's eyes glowed eerily in the darkened room. A soft mechanical whirring sound filled the air and its mouth began to move as if it was speaking. Desperate to prove they weren't imagining things, the employees set up a camera the next night. The footage showed the animatronics moving on their own, their eyes darting around and their mouths opening and closing in the darkness. The video spread among the staff, many of whom had had their own unsettling experiences. Some reported hearing faint, childlike laughter when the restaurant was empty, while others felt cold spots and the sensation of being watched. If you have the guts, follow for the next urban legend.
Interesting people.
Five Nights at Freddy's, confirmed.
This man lives across the street from the most well-known life-ending cliff in Australia called The Gap. Over 50 years of living there, he has prevented around 160 different jumps from people who were contemplating by inviting them into his house for tea. This Bulgarian man walked up to 25 kilometers or 15 miles per day in the last 20 years of his life, asking people to donate for orphanages that could not pay their bills. He passed away in 2018 at 103 years old. Joseph Stalin's son was the team manager for the entire Soviet hockey team in the 1950s. When the entire hockey team perished in a plane crash, Joseph Stalin's son was so nervous about his father's reaction that he just put together a whole other team, and his father never knew the difference. Google sent an employee to this abandoned Japanese island to map it for Google Street View. This island at one time was the most densely populated island in the world and is actually the island they used in the movie Skyfall.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. A 20-year-old gang member was dying of primary liver cancer. In his last days, hours, and moments, he was angry. The family called the hospice nurse into the room and told her that they thought he was going. He wasn't responding, his eyes were glossy, his skin was cold, the end was imminent. His lovely mother whispered to him to go towards the light, to her Jesus. He opened his eyes, looked at her, and said, "F your Jesus." A second or two later, he slowly turned his head to the left and got the most horrific look on his face, as if he was looking at something that they couldn't see. And horrified, his face contorted, and he screamed with his last breath, eyes wide, "Oh sh**! Oh sh**! Oh no!" Then he made a guttural noise and promptly fell back into the bed and died. Every family member was shaking and too frightened to speak. The hospice nurse left the room and took 2 days off. She said she doesn't care if she never finds out what he saw.
What did he see, man? His mom son and got him towards the light. He just dismissed it. Looks like he saw his worst fears.
Facts that will mess with your perception of time, Part 1. Woolly mammoths were still around while Egyptians were building the pyramids. Oxford University existed for hundreds of years before the Aztec Empire was founded. George Washington never knew dinosaurs existed. The Nintendo company was founded while Jack the Ripper was still on the loose.
Things that are more creepy at night. Schools. Schools at night.
Hell yeah.
Alleyways. Alleyways at night.
Never walking through alleyways at night. I can't do that. Nope.
Cemeteries. Cemeteries at night. Parking garages. Parking garages at night. The woods. The woods at night.
course the woods at night would be a scary place. It's too open.
Hospitals. Hospitals at night. A cabin in the woods. A cabin in the woods at night.
Have you heard about this supernatural phenomenon that sometimes happens to people in really bad car wrecks? Well,
No.
apparently multiple people who have been in horrible car accidents have reported seeing the same strange thing. It's called the third man syndrome, and it's when a supernatural presence offers comfort to a victim during a survival situation. I'm going to share one of the crazy stories with you now, but if you're interested in this, tonight's episode is going to be all of these stories. So a few years ago, a Reddit user was in a horrible car wreck. Like so bad they cut the car door off to get them out. They black out during the accident, but as they come to, they see a woman open their car door and get into the back seat. And the woman put her hand on the driver's shoulder and told him that it was going to be okay. And then she said that help was on the way. The user then blacked out again and came to with a fireman cutting off the door of the car. Afterwards, they're with it enough to talk to the police officers and the firemen on the scene. And they're telling them like, hey, there was this woman that got in the car with me. Is she okay? And everyone is like, there was no one in the car with you. Apparently no cars passing by had even stopped for the accident because the fire department was so close, so it was super unlikely that anyone had gotten in the car with them. But this is not the only time that that's happened. Other people have reported a woman getting into the car with them after an accident. There's so many other supernatural stories just like this that I explore in the episode tonight, so make sure you're following along.
I went swimming with sharks and we ended up in the hospital, and not for any reason you'd think. Shout out to Nat Geo for sponsoring this video. I'm gonna change the way you look at sharks in less than 60 seconds. Let's get it. The author of Jaws, Peter Benchley, not only did he regret writing the book because of all the bad PR to sharks, he would dedicate the rest of his life to shark conservation. If Jaws were written today, the shark would be the victim. The Greenland shark is a slow burn glacier guppy that can not only live for up to 400 years, they don't hit baby making age until 150. 150, dude, and still young. Now, there's more than 500 types of sharks, so it's easy to miss one, like the chain cat shark, which happens to glow in the dark that's biofluorescence. The epaulet is a shark that disrespects the natural order by walking, using pelvic and pectoral fins to move around during low tide. Sharks use a type of camouflage called countershading, meaning if you're above them, they blend into the dark abyss, but if you're below them, their light underbelly gets lost in the light of the sky. When you've been around longer than trees, nature gives you perks like that's Anthony Mackie. It is, and he and Ross Edgley and many more will be a part of National Geographic Shark Fest airing on Disney Plus and Hulu. Check it out if you're ready to see sharks be anything but the bad guy. Oh, that's right. Well, I wasn't lying. The sharks are fine, but the ocean slammed me against the bars of the cage like it owed me money. So, moral of the story, I'm not afraid of sharks, just the ocean around it.
I could never do that. Seekers. Could you guys do that, man? I've seen a couple people, they could go in that little shark tank, shark cage. They can, like, bash against it. I'm not even risking that. That ain't me.
Terrifying facts about the ocean, let's get into it. So we've explored roughly 5% of the ocean, leaving many things and creatures yet to be discovered. Also, sunlight penetrates about 700 feet into the ocean, and after that we're in a murky black abyss where we cannot see anything, but many things can still see us. There are about 3 million shipwrecks, with countless human bodies being eaten by many undiscovered and unexplained organisms, so that's terrifying and horrible to think about. Also, there are many unexplained disappearances from ships to planes to people. Also, the pressure at the bottom of the ocean is so immense it equates to 50 jumbo jets being piled on top of us. There are also plenty of terrifying and deadly diseases that eat our flesh while we were still alive in the ocean. Plenty of creatures have just been discovered, including the giant squid and the basking shark, so who knows what other giant and massive and deadly creatures have yet to be discovered. Also, here's a terrifying situation to think about. We cannot swim up out of the ocean very quick or we will die of something called the bends. So imagine being deep down in the ocean and trying to escape, but realizing you cannot swim up, so you are fucked by whatever creature is chasing you. Also, there are tons of dead bodies. Yeah.
Here's more money facts that are going to blow your mind. On Easter Sunday earlier this year, somebody accessed the Garda World cash storage facility in Los Angeles and stole $30 million. This is the largest heist in LA history, and nobody even noticed until 24 hours later. A man from China purchased a first-class ticket that included a VIP lounge that offered free food. He rescheduled his flight over 300 times to enjoy over 300 free meals. When he finally canceled his ticket, he did get a full refund. Steve Ballmer is now more rich than his former boss, Bill Gates, making this one of the only times in history where an employee became more rich than their founder. Bill Gates recently booked an entire Michelin-starred restaurant in Barcelona for 2 days only to order a Diet Coke and return to his plane. The chef had prepared a $313 tasting menu with gourmet dishes like caviar, but Bill Gates stated that his food preferences are simple and prefers burgers and Diet Coke. What's the most dangerous?
That LA story freaking got to me, bro. How is this my first time even hearing about it, man? Just imagine, man, $30 million gone, and they didn't notice for 24 hours. I mean, like you said, it's the heist of the damn century, bro. What the hell?
Place on Earth. Number 8 is Lake Natron in Tanzania. The lake's so alkaline, animals get mummified. 7, Morgan Island, off the coast of South Carolina. 4,000 monkeys all infected with the herpes B virus. 6 is Mexico's giant crystal cave. 1,000 feet underground. Cave is 113 degrees Fahrenheit and 100% humidity. 5, Oymyakon, Russia. It's the coldest town on Earth, reaching minus 50 degrees. Number 4, Runnet Island. In the 70s, the US government buried radioactive plutonium. Number 3, the K2 Summit. It's the inhospitable mountain summit in the world. Number 2 is Snake Island, an island full of thousands of poisonous snakes. It's illegal to go here. Number 1 is North Sentinel Island, home to the indigenous people who have violently rejected contact with the outside world. So much so, if you even get close, they'll swim out to you and try to kill you.
Man. Stay away from that island, bro. I've heard about tribes like that, yeah. They've been cut off for so long that human contact is just not viable.
Who was in this guy's basement?
She glitching. Nah, she glitched, bro. That was a glitch in the Matrix, man.
Facts that could save your life one day. If you're ever somewhere really high, like a mountain, and feel your hair standing up randomly, don't take any pictures and run as fast as you can to cover. You're about to get hit by a lightning strike, just like these 2 teens that got hit moments after this picture was taken. If a stranger gets in your car with a weapon and asks you to drive them somewhere, most likely you will have your seatbelt on, but they won't. So drive fast enough into something like a lamppost. Not only will the accident cause a crowd, but it will also injure the stranger, giving you enough time to run away. And don't worry about your damaged car, your insurance will take care of it. And if you're at the beach and you suddenly see the ocean recede, don't think twice and get to high ground. So you're most likely gonna get hit by a tsunami. Better safe than sorry. And finally, if you ever see a bouncing ball on the road while driving, slow down safely and look around, because the ball is usually followed by a small child trying to get it back.
True statement, man. Gotta be aware.
Creepy facts about your body you're gonna wish you didn't know. When you go down a drop on a roller coaster and you suddenly feel your stomach drop, it's not just you feeling nervous. What you're feeling are your organs actually moving. Have you ever noticed that an older person in your life seems to have very long, large ears? That's because your ears will never stop growing. Across your lifetime, you will spend an average of an entire year just sitting on a toilet. When we see brains outside of the human body, they usually look pretty solid, but your brain, while inside your skull while you're alive, is actually very soft. It's like melted butter soft.
Got brain juice.
This is one of
Butter
the most
up and out,
sickening
picking
and
heads.
disturbing cases I ever covered, and it will make any true crime fan's stomach turn. This is the case of Jennifer Daugherty. This case took place in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, which is a relatively small area. Jennifer was 30 years old and was extremely kind and sweet. She loved to dance and she trusted everyone she ever encountered. This is because she had some mental disabilities, and this disability even affected her keeping up with her peers in school. And she always got bullied and teased, but she always chose kindness over anything else. She then started going to this community center when she finally thought she met her friends. And these supposed friends were Angela, Peggy, Amber, Melvin, Ricky, and Robert.
and you will soon find out why they weren't her friends. These 6 people all lived together, and Angela was 17, who was pregnant with Ricky's baby, who was 23 years old. Amber was 20, who was pregnant with Melvin Knight's baby. Peggy was 27, and Robert was 36. Now remember, Jennifer was 30 years old, but due to the mental disability she had the mental capabilities of a 12 to 14-year-old person. The 6 of them and Jennifer hung out for a while, but soon after, Angela became extremely jealous of Jennifer. This is because her boyfriend Ricky would always flirt with Jennifer when they all hung out. So Angela and Amber came up with this whole screwed up plan. On February 10th, 2010, Jennifer was invited to a sleepover with her friends. And before she left a note for her mom that said, "Have a great day at work, and I love you very much." Right when Jennifer stepped into the apartment house, she was subjected to 36 hours of extreme hell. The group went through her purse and stole money, gift cards, and her cell phone. They poured liquids into her bag, hit her head with filled soda bottles, cut her hair, painted her face with nail polish, and dumped liquids and spices on her head. They then took turns violently hitting Jennifer with a metal towel rack and crutches. Jennifer was also stripped naked, gagged, and then raped by Melvin. They even forced her to drink cooking oil, nail polish, detergent, different medications, and even urine. And keep in mind, this whole time, Jennifer completely trusted them, because she thought that they were all her friends. But they were literally dehumanizing her. They then continued pouring all of these things and spices on her head, and Jennifer was crying that her eyes hurt and she couldn't see. But they didn't listen and continued pouring. And after they decided they tortured her enough, they took her life. They then tied her up in Christmas lights and forced her to write a fake suicide note, essentially saying that everything that happened to her was self-inflicted. The first line reads, "I have not been feeling happy for a while now, and I also feel everybody will be better off without me." Which is just sad because that wasn't the case. Jennifer was extremely loved. Once the note was written, they got a knife and stabbed Jennifer to death. And once they knew she was dead, they tied her up in Christmas lights again, stuffed her body inside a garbage can, and dumped it in the parking lot of a middle school, where her body would be discovered by a truck driver the next day on February 11th. Even though Angela orchestrated the whole thing, she avoided the death penalty because she was 17 and a minor. But she ended up getting life without parole. Melvin got the death sentence, Ricky was also given the death penalty, and Peggy, Amber, and Robert were given 30 to 72 years in prison. This case is just so sickening and disturbing.
That's a shapeshifter. Story time. Growing up in Haiti, or anyone who has Haitian parents can tell you that there is such a thing as shapeshifters, lugauts in Haiti. And that is the reason why they also tell you whenever you hear a cat sounding like that outside your house at a certain time at night, you should not go outside to go see what's wrong with the cat, because usually it's not a cat, and you will not live to see or tell the story of what you would witness. So I remember one time we were all in the house. It was late, very, very late. Usually we will stay up even though we cannot be outside at a certain time. If you go to Haiti, you should always listen to the locals when they tell you do not go at a certain area, to a certain area, or at a certain time go outside. Because trust me, you won't make it back in the house. And I'm not even over-exaggerating. But anyway, so we were all in the house. We were young, but there was a bunch of grown-ups in the house also. Everybody's sleeping, and we were all waking up by this big boom that was on top of the house. And in Haitian houses in Haiti, they actually don't have like real like roof like we have here, but they have like metals. So any little thing you can hear it. Even if the rain, we usually were able to fall asleep with the rain sound because it's just so loud and it's so soothing and all that stuff. But when the nightmare starts, trust me, you will hear every single thing. So we're sleeping and we were all waking up at this boom. Even the children, you know how children can sleep real well, right? They sleep through everything. We all were waking up. But the grown-ups already know because they're so used to it. And also we know a well-known lugau in the town that everybody could respect because we know how powerful she is. And a lot of people have been taken out by her, but they can never prove that it was her until one day. So anyways, we're all sleeping and we're waking up by this sound, and we just hear footsteps on top of the house just walking as if like it's like you know, grains falling in the house, but it's like real loud footsteps, just walking, and all the adults just start praying, and the children were just scared because we're so used to hearing stories about that happening, and eventually it happened to us. So we're like scared, and the adults are praying, even though like voodoo is a religion in Haiti, they still pray. A lot of people pray but still practice voodoo because that's really our religion. Just like the Catholic people, they also practice voodoo, but also they tell you that it's bad. Anyways, so they're praying. The children are trying to figure out what's going on, while the baby, my aunt had a baby that was just a few weeks old, not even a month, a few weeks old. The baby just kept crying non-stop, and they usually, whenever they come in on top of your house, they're coming for the baby, not children who are a certain age. They're coming for the innocent, right? So the baby's crying, the people are praying, so there's a lot going on, and the noise on top and everything, all of a sudden, the noise stopped, but we hear a cat right by the door, literally right at the door, right? This cat just sounded like a baby. It's literally almost matching the sound of the baby that's crying. The cat sounded like a baby, scratching at the door, making noises, scratching at the door, making noise, and that's when the prayers started louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. And eventually the children fell asleep because the cat just kept going. I fell asleep because I was young at the time. Then eventually we heard the story the next day, but then what really made us believe it is what we saw the next day, what we experienced the next day. So we fell asleep. The adults, I guess, continued to do whatever they were doing. The next day we wake up to the horror of everything. The baby that was crying was basically covered in ants, covered head to toe, ants eating the baby's skin, everything. I mean, I should have given you guys a warning. Eating everything. But of course, you know, everything is still intact, but the skin is ant mark, bite marks from the ants. Baby, gone. Pass. Don't know why, don't know how, but the baby's gone. What happened last night happened. Next morning, wake up, baby's gone. And that was the first child that my aunt lost. And then finally after that, she just kept losing children up until 7 kids. She lost 7 kids until she actually stopped having kids. Every time one passed, she has another one. Every time one passed, I'm like, as someone who has common sense, you would think, okay, I'll stop after maybe the 3rd or 4th one. Well, she just kept having children. Eventually, she decided, okay, well, I'm not going to have any more kids if I'm going to keep losing them. But when she had her first son, which is the oldest child, that child survived because she didn't live in the house. She didn't live in that town when she had that child, so that child survived. But eventually, she lost her life to the same thing. And also, I lost my godmom to the same thing. I have a story for that. Also, my older sister who lives right now in the United States, we almost lost her to a neighbor who was practicing brujeria, voodoo. Very good person, good people, but it was a mistake that happened, and we were able to figure it all out. If you guys want to hear about that story, I will tell you. But my mom even sent money for us to buy like coffin for her, preparing for her funeral and everything. Now she's a nurse. Anyway, guys, bye.
Whoa. I mean, that was a shocking story, Seekers. Like I said, we heard that cat sounding like, it definitely was sounding like a person, man. She broke it down for us. What do you guys think, man? We've seen like skinwalkers before, but they said this is shapeshifter, so are they like different things? 2 separate things? Talk about it down below.
Story time on the time that I saw my neighbor who had already passed away going to go get water while I was on my way back from getting water to go to the house. And when I got to the house, I found out that she had passed away that morning, and I didn't even know that. So this was kind of crazy. I'm laughing because I couldn't sleep for a good month and a half after all this happened, right? So I told the story during Halloween a couple years ago on YouTube, and the feedback was crazy. So I figured I'll just bring it back since TikTok people don't know about it. So going back to Haiti, I was very, very young. We had this neighbor that used to sell those things that you will light up at night if you have mosquitoes. They shake like a snake. I don't know what they're called. Maybe if you know, let me know in the comment below. But she used to sell those things, and one day she just felt sick. Very, very sick. We just never saw her. We will go to her. So every time we order, this person will come to the door and give us what we need. But Sister Mary, which is the lady who always gives us the things that we need, just hasn't been showing up. But as a child, I'm like, okay, well, it's her house. Maybe she's either in the house, don't want to come out, or she went to the next town over to go visit her family. And hey, that's a normal thing. You can just go visit your family for like 6 months and then come back, right?
Okay.
So eventually my aunt came and told us that Sister Mary, that was her name, is not feeling well. She's at home, but she's just not feeling well. As children, we just let it go. Okay, well, Sister Mary's sick, whatever. Well, one day, I was sent to get water. It was my turn to go get water. So the way to go get water is basically, it's like 15 minutes away, but you do carry the water, and we take turn in the house as children. They sent different people different days, right? So this one particular day, it was early in the morning, they sent me to go get water. I'd say maybe, well, not really early, it was summertime. I'd say around like 10, 11. They sent me to go get water. I went to go collect water.
Right.
And as I was coming back from collecting water, I'm walking down. It's a 15-minute walk. I'm carrying the thing on top of my head. I'm walking down, and I saw someone who looks like Sister Mary. And my aunt was saying how frail she was. She's losing a lot of weight, blah, blah, blah. But when I saw this person, she looked just like I remember Sister Mary to be, like how she was before, you know, thick. You know, she wasn't like fat, but she was thick. You know, she looked fine. She looked normal. She didn't look sick. So I saw her. I said hello to her. We're talking. And, you know, I told her, we haven't seen you. We heard that you were sick. Yeah, so we heard that you were sick. How are things doing? You look like you're doing much better now. And she answered me like normal, like someone she knows, right?
Okay.
So I just went on about my business. I told her have a good day. She told me she was going to go collect water, and she had the bucket in her hand and everything. So I told her have a good day, and I continued on my merry way. So I ended up going home that day, and I told my sister, I'm like, yo, you will never guess who I just saw at the water thing, right? So I told her a whole story about this lady that I just saw, and we know her because she's our neighbor. So I'm like, yeah, I saw her, you know, she looked good. I don't know what Aunt was talking about because she doesn't look sick. Her eyes literally opened up as if she just saw a ghost. I'm like, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that?
Okay.
She says, oh, nothing. So I'm like, okay. I just went about my day and continued doing whatever I was doing until a few minutes later, I hear people screaming and yelling. Well, the news have been spreading in the whole town that Sister Mary has passed away. I'm looking at my sister and I'm thinking, what the fuck? What do you mean Sister Mary passed away? I just saw Sister Mary. What do you mean? And she looked fine.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's yelling. Nobody's telling me what's going on. And then finally, my sister told me, oh, yeah, Sister Mary died this morning. I'm like, there's no way. How could Sister Mary die this morning? I just told you I saw her this morning. She's like, well, that's the crazy thing because you're telling me you just saw her and Sister Mary died before you went to go collect water.
Ghost confirmed? Spirit?
From there on, I kid you not, I could not speak. I could not move. Everything was crazy.
Here we go.
Man, what do you guys think about that story? Was that like a ghost or she communicating with spirit or something? Like, imagine she was talking to a person, but they already passed, so who is she talking to?
Virginia teen
Insane.
dies after she tried to summon the Haitian voodoo god, Papa Legua. So Love decided to dabble in the darker voodoo arts, but she ain't got no knowledge of how this thing really go. This is why you gotta watch when you practicing something without having a self-evaluation journey that you've been on, you hear me? I don't know why you thought summoning an African descendant god will help you. Papa in Haiti is known as the Great Executioner, and it's said that he could speak many different languages and persuade people at his will. And once again, he resides at the spiritual crossroads. So let me give y'all some people some insight every time you face with a difficult decision you gotta make. Rather that being life or death decisions or career-based decisions. Quit thinking about calling on some deity gonna point you in the right direction if you haven't done the self-work. Because you could get fooled by a spirit that you might think is holy and lovely for a spirit that's there to take over your will. So she gets in a Facebook group and start telling the people that she's about to start doing new spell work and ain't nothing wrong with trying new things. Alright. And I quote, let people have their own religion. So she started telling people, stop saying I'm from God or you can be from God. I'm wicked and I always will be. So shut the F up and let me do what I want to do. Alright. Now Wicca means a religion influenced by pre-Christian beliefs and the practices of Western Europe that affirms the supernatural powers. It's a form of paganism.
and his has nothing to do with voodoo practices. So now I guess her ex must have get into it and had a fallout. So she get on Facebook talking about she about to go put her ex on her ex-girlfriend. Now mind you, her ex-girlfriend is African American. Let me give you a little quick insight on when to put spells on people or hex work on people. And it kind of taught you that on Vampire Diaries with Bonnie. Now remember when she spoke with her ancestors and her ancestors told her, if you keep drawing power from your ancestors, it's going to be a blowback to that. Which is why when Bonnie would use her powers, her nose would start bleeding. Because whatever you take from nature, you must replenish back. Which is called the circle of life, baby. Now here's an example up here where somebody also was trying to use that voodoo stuff and it fired back on them. I prayed for lots of money even though I had money. I was greedy and I stopped my voodoo sacrifices. I was punished by losing my leg in an accident. I'm getting money which is worthless to me. I'd rather have my legs back. The woman I wanted to marry left me because of my leg. I lost my promising career and I had to totally change my college studies for a degree that was worthless to me. All because I messed with the spirits. And you keep on playing and not listening, you're gonna learn the hard way, baby. So back to Kate. So now we get a picture where she tried to make a voodoo doll that looked like her. Got the girl hair twisted like dreads. We don't know what petition she wrote. We don't know if she had needles in the doll. She might have even had her real hair samples in the damn doll, you hear me? Now I want to know, baby, what in your right mind think that you can call on an African deity to do some harm to an African person and you are a European woman? In what world do you think that makes sense, baby? Like, come on now, love. And then people tried to warn you before doing this. They told you not to go along with this. They told you not to move forward with this. Practicing other people's African spirituality when you're not African is dangerous. So now I start getting right. You saw Papa Lego today, huh? You thought you saw him. And that's the problem. You getting indulged in something where you never was initiated inside the culture, mama. You gotta think, man. Nah, Kayla was a beautiful woman, had a beautiful soul. She done a lot for her community. She was a stand-up woman. She just got involved in some things without the proper knowledge that led to some bad outcome. Nah, so Caitlin eventually died in a bathtub, and she left behind a beautiful daughter named Aaliyah. Which is very sad, baby. She adored her daughter greatly. Just for her daughter to have to go through that, prayers and condolences to her family. Now later on, a few spiritual leaders did a reading on the woman and noticed that she wasn't summoning Papa Legua, but Barun. And because of shows like American Horror Story, where they gave you a mixture of Barun and Papa Legua, they had you thinking that he was Papa Legua, but Papa Legua on American Horror Story, that was actually depicted as Barun.
What do you guys think of that story, man? He broke it down. All the way down, man. He went more definite on that story.
Good morning. It's 9:34 in the morning, so it's time for another story. And this time the story is being recorded late because I spent my entire morning talking about the anguish of what it means to be a black woman in America. So today calls for a feel-good story, and I'm going to tell you the most popular folktale in Haiti. That's right.
Okay.
It's The Little Mermaid, but darker. This most likely will be divided in 3 parts or 4 because I'm taking a lot of time to talk about. But just so you understand, the majority of the time the story is being told, the protagonist is a fish. But usually as you grow up, it makes more sense that the protagonist is a mermaid or a merman. Most of the time the protagonist is male because the leading romance protagonist, the second one, is a woman who goes to the water. She's a little girl. But at times you will find that the protagonist is a mermaid, a woman, because the leading person that's going to be the love interest is a little boy. Alright, let's get started. The Little Mermaid, with a Haitian epice. Also, a lot of Haitians believe in mermaids. So there was a young girl, and we're going to call her Rose, who had a brother named Richard, a younger brother. Every morning they would go to the spring to get water to do their daily chores. Whether that's cooking, cleaning, whatever they needed the water for, they would go to the river to get it. One morning, Rose heads to the river by herself, and as she's getting some water, she has a ring, a silver ring on one of her fingers, obviously, and it slips down and it falls in the stream. Now, she was really fond of this ring, so obviously she's really sad. She's like, oh my god, I lost my ring, wah. And then as she's like frantically looking for it, out pops the head. And in this story, I'm going to make him a mermaid. So out pops a little head. And so as the head goes up, she realizes it's a fish. It's a man, but it's a fish. And the fish spits up her ring. So she takes the ring and she thanks the fish. And the fish, shockingly to her, speaks. The fish says, "Hi, I'm Tizan." And she says, "Hi, I'm Rose." Tizan says, "This is my water. This is my spring. If you want water, like clean water, because your water is clean, but I know where the real good shit is. If you want better water, you could just holler at me and I'll go get it for you." And she goes, "Oh, thank you. But how do I holler at you?" And so he teaches her this little song. And so he goes, "If you ever need to reach me, sing this song. Tizan, Tizan, mon ami, Tizan. Tizan, Tizan, mon ami, Tizan." You get it? It literally translates to Tizan, Tizan, my friend, Tizan. But in the book, she has it written in a more like, I don't know, she has it written how she wants. But that's how I remember the song. Part 2.
So, this happened in Miami. And yeah, I still live in Miami. I was like around 6 or 7. This was like back in 2006, I believe. So, we used to stay in this building. And in the building, it used to be full of Haitians, full of Haitians. If you're Haitian and you know what's a lugawu, then you know what I mean. So, it was one night, it was me and my brother, we was in the room, we was sleeping, my mama and my dad was in their room.
Okay.
So it was like 2, I would say like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We sleeping, we little kids, we sleeping, blah, blah. Then randomly something happened. Bruh, something told us to get up. We woke up, literally, me and him woke up. And I swear, bruh, this lugawu lady, bruh, we've been having problems with for the longest. She was in our room. Like, she was literally in our room, bruh. Like, literally in our room. Staring at us. And we was on the wall. We, like, the TV right here and the wall right there. And we were stuck on the wall. We don't know what to do. But she was mostly coming from my little brother. Because, my little lugawus, they like young kids. If they see a beautiful young child, they're going to take them. So, as a big brother, I was not going to let that shit happen. So I fought her. You feel me? I'm getting right with her a little bit. She low-key beat me up. But, I'm getting right with her a little bit. Give her a quick soklo and everything. Damn punch me in my rib. To this day, like, if I'm running so fast, my right hip will start hurting like crazy. So we fighting, boom, boom, boom. My little brother, he yelling. Then I start yelling. Then my mom came, burst in the room. Then she just disappeared, like boom. So my mom was like, okay, my point. A couple days later, man, my auntie, my mom, even my dad, my uncle, they all went after that lady. They whooped that lady out. They banged on the door. They did everything it takes. To this day, bruh, that shit still scarred the fuck out of me. But it's part of being a Haitian, that's what most Haitians go through in life. Most. I can't say all, but most. You feel me? But yes, lugawus, these vampires in Haiti, that's called lugawus, they are real. They are real. If you're from Haiti, you know what I mean. Like, even American kids, Haitian American kids, y'all know what I mean about lugawus, bro. This shit real. It's real. Like, it's really real. It's not American vampires.
Damn, we put a vampire 7? Like I said, we're checking out a different side of TikTok, so these stories, man, freaking shocking me, bro. Breaking down the culture. But at 7, he had to fight off to protect his brother, and he did it too. Pops to him, man.
I have been like damn near harassing me for these.
Lugas again.
Creepy story time.
Trying to get at
it all
him.
happened in Haiti. My mom was throwing a party, like a little get together, and everyone was having fun, but it was getting late, so everybody had to go home. After they went home, my mom heard a big sound coming from outside. It sounded like this. Yeah, like a cow. So she went outside to check. She saw a huge cow, the size of the road. No, literally, the size of the road.
What the hell was it doing?
They know exactly
you are this scared, but you might not. So let me tell you. Make it a long story short, nobody with that much money is just gonna be handing it around. So it must be juju money. They're not falling for that. But this is not the point of this video. I wanted to make this video to tell you that it is the month of December. Quite possibly the worst month of the year for the normal citizens, but the best month of the year for people doing witchcraft. My grandma always told me the month of December is the devil's month. Yeah.
Really?
The devil goes hard on this month of December because it is the last month of the year. So he needs to put in as much work as possible. So my number one advice to you would be, do not, absolutely not, pick up any type of law from the floor. Yapron, they will get you. And be kind. It goes a very long way.
I know that about the month of December now. I better start paying attention.
Yes, in Haiti, please mind your business. Story time. This one is brought to you by my uncle. This is a Lugawu story, so things might get a little weird, but bear with me. So this lady, we're gonna call her Katya, okay? She is a SW. If you don't know what a SW is, just look it up. But that night, she was out on the street, running the streets, you know, trying to sell some puss. She was standing out there all day. She ain't had no customers. So it's getting late and she's like, you know what, maybe I should leave. But right at the moment that she's thinking that she's gonna leave, this guy in this rich, expensive car pulls up. And for that time, for somebody to have a car like that, that meant that that person had money, okay? It meant that that person meant business. So the car rolls up in front of the SW and he's like, yo, how much for? And she gives him the prices. Depending on what you want, I can provide it for you. He wanted to take her home. He didn't want service on the spot, so he wanted to take her to his house. So she agreed. She gets in his car and they start to drive away. Now the guy, there's really nothing suspicious or off-putting about him, considering like she's a SW. She's used to weirdos. She's used to creeps. So this is like, there's nothing standing out about this guy. He's on the steering wheel and she's next to him on the passenger seat. So they're driving, and y'all. And at some point, it looks like this driver is like basically falling asleep. Like he's just disassociating from the wheel and he looks like he's tired. She doesn't think anything of it and they keep going. They get a little bit further down the road. She saw something from her peripheral morph. So she does one of those and notices that the man who was driving the car turned into a dog.
What the fuck?
With his two front paws on the wheel, this SW is witnessing a dog driving a car when a few seconds before it was a man. So the SW proceeds to take out her cigarette. She had a cigarette like in the back of her ear. She proceeded to take out the cigarette. She lights up the cigarette and starts to smoke. As she lights her cigarette, she starts to chant. She says, moi-même c'est petit Jacques Maget mieux. Pita moi Jacques Maget. Jacques Maget is a loi. He don't play about his children, so I think that was just her reinforcing her protection. After she says that like 3 times, Jacques Maget c'est petit tout, the freaking dog next to him looks like something startled the dog, and the motherfucker started morphing back into a human. And now it's back to a man driving the car. Now, of course, the story does not end here. A man looks over to her and says, I feel weird. Did you see anything weird? Do you feel anything weird? The SW looking straight ahead at the road says, nope. He said, you didn't sense anything? She said, no, I've just been in this car smoking a cigarette. She said, why? You feeling something? He says, yeah, I felt a little weird, so I just wanted to know if you saw something, if you felt anything. She said, nah, I ain't see nothing. Must be something in the air. He proceeded to drive all the way to his house. She got there and was absolutely horrified. So while the guy went to go take a shower, she went into his kitchen, grabbed a knife, and kept it underneath her pillow. The whole time she was laying down like this, one arm underneath the pillow, holding on to the weapon. She would go on and do. She held on to that knife whole time, just in case. After they were done, it was way too dark and way too late for her to leave anyway, so she proceeded on staying the night, but she did not sleep all night. All night, she had that one hand under that pillow. The next morning, they woke up, he paid her, and she went on her way. But I was like, wait a minute, she went through with it? And she had to. If she had switched up anywhere in that timeline, that would have been it for her. Anyway, if you guys like these spooky Haitian stories, you can expect that I will be dropping another story time tomorrow. And I have an entire playlist of like 40-something videos, so go ahead and check them out. Go ahead and leave me a follow on TikTok and on Instagram. And leave me a comment letting me know what was your genuine reaction to this story. Also, thank you guys for 50,000 followers. Hi, boo-boo.
That's crazy that she still went through with it.
Not only are you not safe on the outside, Be careful with how you reject men.
Not everybody can. Okay, the light not working. Edit.
These are kids' toys that got banned, part 3. Up first is this toy. This toy was called Potty Time with Elmo, and it was supposed to help kids go to the bathroom, but instead it took a disturbing turn. One of the buttons was supposed to say, uh-oh, who has to go? But instead it said, uh-oh, who wants to die? Here is that video.
It does say some phrases, though, that toddlers probably shouldn't be hearing. Here's what Elmo was supposed to say. Several books came with this sound instead. Elmo laughs, ha ha ha, and then he says, who wants to die?
Caught in 4K. I don't know who put that in into it, but they need to be fired. Watching it the whole time, she didn't even know.
Can I show you a scary video? Quick trigger warning, do not try this at home. So in 2019, this trend went viral, where apparently if you told your Alexa Simon says ha ha ha, it sounded so weird saying that, I'm so sorry, it'll start acting possessed. Let me just show you the video. Here it is.
Simon says ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Hey, Harry.
What the heck? This has been going on since 2019, bro. I'm at the end, man. That's like, so I wonder if you said that to Siri on your iPhone, what would happen? Is that glitch still there? Be careful.
Now look at this.
Wait for it.
Kita tak dapat lagi pasuk wifi. Nampaknya bateri sudah mau habis bah. Touch. Sekejap awak semua. Saya kasih cas dulu. Sini dulu nak ni. Sebenarnya ialah ni aku punya bank. Sorry. Oh, pantai. Sorry. Ya.
She didn't see?
Yeah.
Shit, bro, you want me? Like, what the hell is that?
Okay, stop.
Sound like she got possessed or something, bro. Not like flicking on and off. Something happened.
Are there other people that live down here with you? I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Did you say Ratman? Are you the Ratman, Bill?
Ratman?
Okay.
That I never heard of that movie.
It's just a cigarette and it cannot be that bad.
I can't see him. That's all there, bro. That's the closest I'll get to, I guess, watching that movie.
This is the scariest video on TikTok. So the video is just that trend where you play a scary audio and then you trap someone in a room and record the reaction. Now normally in these videos they'll have like a fake ghost effect, but this one's a little different because it has probably the creepiest thing I've ever seen in a TikTok, and that is this woman. She just stands there and stares the entire time, like she barely moves at all. She's so still the whole time, people are debating whether or not she's even real. Now looking deeper into the account, the woman seems to just be this lady, but they also post a lot of paranormal videos about things that happen in their house, like pictures moving on their own and creepy stuff like that. So maybe this lady is really just a ghost, but I'll let y'all decide that.
Ghost lady, just standing still. Boiling hot water. Just throwing boiling water in the air. I don't know if you got that entity or not.
Your answer. I'm crazy, all for the love of you. It would be a pilot marriage. I had a for the carriage.
Where'd it go?
どうした？どうした？
あるじゃん。Oh. Plus 2 years before that?
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Sometimes you laugh, talk, and cry in sleep. It's often a spirit sitting beside you in bed. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York than to be bitten by a shark. A human head remains conscious for 20 seconds after being decapitated. If you search up this number on Google, you'll find people with their heads in fridges. Gelatin is made out of bones. That's right. The melted marshmallow in your hot chocolate is melted animal bone. It's good stuff. You have no way of really knowing if everyone experiences reality and consciousness the same way you do. If a panda finds a fresh carcass, they'll eat it. And last but not least, your phone is likely spying on you right now as you're watching this. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 8.
I think we got spyware on our phones. Most likely, yeah. It's just something you can't avoid. You at least have to know that, bro. They watching us, man. know what that ghost is doing. Doing some weird crap. What the? Is that an edit, bro? People just walking through cop. What are they, Danny Phantom?
You're alone. It's the middle of the night, and you're in a hotel. Then this happens. So what's your next move?
Ow. Ain't no judge, bro.
What is a disturbing fact you wish you could unlearn?
I'm giving y'all a chance to scroll, especially if you have kids, especially if you have a baby. Oh wait, you still here? Alright man, don't blame me, this is on you. If there's one animal you should be afraid of in this world, it's not lions, tigers, bears, sharks, it's none of that. It's actually the one that looks the most like us. I don't care who you think you are, a chimp will really tear your arm off and beat you over the head with it. And chimps will actively hunt other animals like bush babies and red colobus monkeys. We've even seen them murk small antelope and warthogs. But the disturbing part isn't that they hunt monkeys and eat them. This is your last chance, you can still scroll. Because the thing is that apparently chimps can't tell the difference between the monkeys they hunt and human babies. Or they can and they just don't care. There have been cases of gangs of chimpanzees snatching, murking, and eating human children. In 2002 in Gombe National Park in Tanzania, a 14-month-old baby was kidnapped by an adult male chimp. You can probably guess what went down, but the result was one less baby and one partially fed chimp. Partially because the chimp started eating, but apparently got bored and left the past tense body for researchers to find. Why? Yeah, that's the thing with psychopaths. There is no why. Moral of this video? Yeah, this picture hit a little different now, don't it?
It really does. One hit.
Yo, wake up! What? Dude, something's breaking!
What?
Something's breaking, bro!
Whoa, what do you think happened, bro? Come on.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, let's go.
Dude, go! Go!
I am!
Who set that trap?
Mom, what's wrong?
I don't know what she was on. What the hell is that following her? I look like an alien if you compare it or something.
Morbid facts that will give you nightmares. When a prisoner is electrocuted in an electric chair, they can feel absolutely everything. They are fully aware that their body is being fried in real time, and one prisoner that survived said he actually smelled and tasted like cold peanut butter. Human corpses decompose 4 times faster in water than underground, and 8 times faster if left in the open air. It takes around 359 humans to have enough iron to forge a sword from their blood. Just about 3,000 people go missing every single year in the US. The last execution by guillotine was in 1977 in France. That was exactly the same year that the first Star Wars movie came out.
That's crazy when you think about it in time perspective, man. Truly. Last guillotine, Star Wars came out. Sounds hard to believe.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. In ancient Rome, soldiers used to drink fresh warm blood to cure epilepsy. There are antidepressants that eliminate someone's ability to feel love and compassion. The Exorcist movie resulted in many of its cast dying, including 2 actors whose characters died in the movie. In 2017, an asteroid named AG-13 passed by our home planet with less than the distance of the moon. Scientists saw it coming only 2 days before it could have hit Earth. One of the most haunted dolls is Robert. It belonged to a child named Eugene in 1904. The 2 most dangerous books are called Shams al-Ma'arif and Al-Ghazali. They carry rituals for summoning demons. In ancient England, people used tops of hollowed human skulls to drink and eat. At Harvard University, there's a book bound in human skin, like for part 6.
I ain't reading that book, bro. Sounds haunted. Or that could have been added.
First games you should never play. Part 18. The Game of Waiting. This game gives you the opportunity to earn a very valuable prize. To start this game you will need to pick a day, but make it special like your birthday or something like that. Go to your calendar and mark the day before this day. Until that day comes you can do whatever you like, but gather a match and something to burn. When that day comes, burn whatever you picked. Focus on the flame and say the words, "Tomorrow is a special day." Make it really special. Now reach out touching the flame, and as it begins to burn, pull back. This is when the game begins. From that point until midnight, do not go to sleep and do not let that flame go out. Once midnight strikes, 2 things could happen. If your fire is still going, then the game has failed. But if it goes out on its own, you've completed the game. When you wake up in the morning, something special to you will disappear. But don't look for it because you're not going to find it. However, 2 items will have taken its place. These items will be of equal value to whatever you lost. This is your prize.
Hell no. I ain't playing that game.
8 scary facts you did not know of South Africa. 1. 285 prisoners escaped from custody over the past 6 financial years. 2. South African Airways Flight 406 crashed in 1967 and was never found. 3. The last execution carried out by the South African government was the hanging of Solomon Ngoni and Sandra Smith in November 1989. 4. The longest-serving sentence in South Africa. Salo Abramapanya was sentenced to 5 life terms as well as an additional 988 years imprisonment. 5. In South Africa, there is no age limit for prison. An 80-year-old can go to jail. 6. International highway between East London and Coxted is the most dangerous road in SA. 7. The legal amount of money you can keep at home is 25,000 rand. 8. You can go to jail for 2 years if you fail to submit a single tax return or do not inform the SO Revenue Service SARS that your details have changed.
Try to get tax evasion, bro. They will get you. No matter what country you're in. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, thank you guys for supporting the channel. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video, comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next video. You guys are gonna catch me in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.